Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about the next chapter of accountancy, that is preparation of financial statement. The financial statements are prepared under the Companies Act 2013. As you all know, Companies Act was prepared in the year 1965 and since then there are several amendments. In 2013, the latest amendment happened, and according to that, under the Schedule 3 of that Act, the following are the methods to prepare financial statements. Financial statement and consolidated financial statements are the two basic categories under which financial statements are prepared for any joint stock company. Financial statements include scheduled balance sheet and cash flow for a particular year, while consolidated financial statement includes the consolidation of the financial statements over the year and their comparisons. Consolidated financial statement may also include if there are various departments or the variants in one particular company. Financial statement in relation to joint stock company includes balance sheet at the end of the financial year, statement of profit and loss for the financial year, cash flow statement, but it is not mandatory for small companies and for OPCs, that is operational professional consultancies, and dormant companies, that means the companies which give their name to the subsidiary companies. For the financial year, statement of changes in equity if applicable. If there is either issue of share capital or withdrawal of share capital, the statement of changes in equity should be prepared. Explanatory statement or notes to the accounts are also mandatory part of financial statements. This should not apply any holding company or a subsidiary company, a company registered under Section 8 or in the form of charitable organization, a company or a corporate body governed by a special act. Requirements of financial statement. The financial statement should give a true and fair view of a company with accounting standards and shall be form as provided in Schedule 3. The financial statement shall be laid in the AGM, that is annual general meeting, within the 6 months from the end of the financial year. The holding company shall in addition prepare a consolidated financial statement for the company along with its all subsidiaries, associates and joint ventures and lay before the AGM. That means if the company is a holding company, then all the evidential documents are also prepared and should be laid before the annual general meeting and should present all the documents as required. This is again under the section 129 of Companies Act 2013 amendment. Instructions for preparing the balance sheet. Compliance with the requirement of Act including accounting standards. According to the accounting standards, the joint stock company should observe all the guidelines. Disclosure requirements specified in the schedule are addition to and not in substitution of the disclosure requirements specified in the accounting standard. This means the source documents or the evident documents like vouchers, bills, they are to be mentioned and it cannot be any other substitution of the disclosures. Notes to account shall contain information in addition to that presented in the financial statements and shall be cross-reference. For example, if there is a head of current liability, so the explanatory notes should have all the components of current liabilities presented. So notes to account shall contain a detailed information. The terms used herein shall be as per the applicable accounting standards. That means a prescribed format along with the terms is given according to the accounting standards and that is only applicable. The rounding off is also required. If it is less than 100 crores, then it can be nearest hundreds, thousands, or lakhs, or in decimals, but the detailed notification should be given beneath the statement. If it is above 100 crore, to the nearest lakhs or millions or crores can be done thereof. So depending on the turnover, the specification should be made, and in the footnote of the statement one star should be made to specify that turnover figures, and it can be rounded off in decimals as well. Balance sheet, now you can see the format. Very important is name of the company, balance sheet as at, that is financial year ended, that means on the last day of the financial year. Again rupees, that is your notification, that in what decimal you are writing. In the header also and in the footnote of the statement you have to mention the rupees turnover. As we make the vertical balance sheet, the asset side and liability sides are up and down. In horizontal balance sheet we used to make in such a manner that on left side there were liabilities and on right side there were assets. But here, as we are preparing a vertical balance sheet, the equity and liability will come up, and below that there will be assets. So you can see equity and liabilities, that is a major head. Under that there is a head of shareholders fund, that includes share capital, reserves and surplus. Reserves, that are the accumulated funds for future emergencies. Surplus is the profit from statement of income, and money received against share warrants, that means the prospect shareholders. Share application money pending allotment, so that also adds to our equity, that their allotment is pending. That amount can also be mentioned here if it is applicable. If it is not there, then this column should be kept vacant. Figures at the end of current reporting period and figures at the end of the previous reporting period, that means here there is a comparison for previous year and this year. So unlike the sole trader balance sheet or a partnership balance sheet, we are preparing two columns each for previous year and for current year. Next, in under the liability side is non-current liability, that is long term. Long term borrowings, deferred tax liability, other long term liabilities, and long term provisions. These are the minor heads under the major head of non-current liability, and these individually should be explained in the notes to accounts. Current liabilities, that is short term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities, and short term provisions. Again, these are the minor head under the major head of current liability, and these are also to be shown in the footnotes to accounts. Next is asset side. Asset side, just like the horizontal balance sheet, you have non-current assets as a major head. Under that minor head is fixed assets, below that tangible assets, intangible assets, capital work in progress, that is the stock of semi-finished goods, intangible assets under development, non-current investments, deferred tax assets. Tax assets are the prepaid tax that you have already paid and that yet to be refunded. Long term loans and advances, these loans on the asset side are the loans that you have already given to people, say staff or maybe any other intermediary. Other non-current assets. So when the term non-current comes, it means that it is giving benefit to the business for a longer period of time. Next major head is current asset, current investment. Under that minor heads are current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. And again, the total of liability side and asset side should be equal, and here also the same manner you have two columns which will show the current year balances and the previous year balances. General instruction: as an asset shall be classified as current when it is satisfy any of the following criteria. So there is a detailed explanation. It is expected to be realized in or is intended for sale for assumption in the company's normal operating cycle. That means within a short period of time, within a current year situation, it can be realized or converted into cash. It is held primarily for the purpose of being traded. That means the current asset is mainly kept in the firm for further sale. That is the inventories or the semi-finished goods or finished goods. It is expected to be realized within 12 months after reporting date. So it should be either sold or can be paid off against liability. It is cash or cash equivalent unless it is restricted from being exchanged or used to settle a liability for at least 12 months after the reporting date, or other shall be classified as non-current. So it is specifically mentioned that when the non-current assets are to be calculated, their longevity should be more than 12 months, and if any asset has a longevity of time less than 12 months, it is a current asset. Next, in under the liability side is non-current liability, that is long term. Long term borrowings, deferred tax liability, other long term liabilities, and long term provisions. These are the minor heads under the major head of non-current liability, and these individually should be explained in the notes to accounts. Current liabilities, that is short term borrowings, trade payables, other current liabilities, and short term provisions. Again, these are the minor head under the major head of current liability, and these are also to be shown in the footnotes to accounts. Next is asset side. Asset side, just like the horizontal balance sheet, you have non-current assets as a major head. Under that minor head is fixed assets, below that tangible assets, intangible assets, capital work in progress, that is the stock of semi-finished goods, intangible assets under development, non-current investments, deferred tax assets. Tax assets are the prepaid tax that you have already paid and that yet to be refunded. Long term loans and advances, these loans on the asset side are the loans that you have already given to people, say staff or maybe any other intermediary. Other non-current assets. So when the term non-current comes, it means that it is giving benefit to the business for a longer period of time. Next major head is current asset. Current investment, under that minor heads are current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. And again, the total of liability side and asset side should be equal, and here also the same manner you have two columns which will show the current year balances and the previous year balances. General instruction: as an asset shall be classified as current when it is satisfy any of the following criteria. So there is a detailed explanation. It is expected to be realized in or is intended for sale for assumption in the company's normal operating cycle. That means within a short period of time, within a current year situation, it can be realized or converted into cash. It is held primarily for the purpose of being traded. That means the current asset is mainly kept in the firm for further sale. That is the inventories or the semi-finished goods or finished goods. It is expected to be realized within 12 months after reporting date. So it should be either sold or can be paid off against liability. It is cash or cash equivalent unless it is restricted from being exchanged or used to settle a liability for at least 12 months after the reporting date, or other shall be classified as non-current. So it is specifically mentioned that when the non-current assets are to be calculated, their longevity should be more than 12 months, and if any asset has a longevity of time less than 12 months, it is a current asset. In our financial statement is current liability. A liability is current when it satisfies the following criteria. It is expected to be settled in a company's normal operating cycle. It has primarily for the purpose of being traded. It is due to be settled within 12 months after reporting date, or the company do not have any unconditional right to defer the settlement of liability for at least 12 months after the reporting date. That means the term of a liability that could at the point of counterparty result in its settlement by the issue of equity instruments do not affect its classification. All other liabilities shall be classified as non-current, that means they are in the firm for more than 1 year. A receivable shall be classified as trade receivables if it is in respect of amount due on account of goods sold or services rendered in the normal courses of business. A payable shall be classified as trade payable if it is in respect of the amount due on account of goods purchased or services received in the normal course of business. A company shall disclose the following in the notes of accounts as well. Share capital. Now, the share capital that is mentioned in the asset side has the following components. That means the amount of shares with the par value, right shares, share holded as holding of a subsidiary company, share issued other than cash consideration, securities convertible in shares with the date of conversion, calls unpaid and forfeited shares. Reserves and surplus. Reserves and surplus should include following components: capital reserve, capital redemption reserve, securities premium reserve, debenture redemption reserve and revaluation reserve. Share option outstanding account, that means if there is any outstanding, instead of paying cash, that can be paid in share. Other reserves, that means either for any purpose, specific purpose, and surplus, that is balance of statement of P&L account, that is profit and after appropriations and divisions, that is transferred from reserve, etc. Long term borrowings, that is non-current liability, that includes bonds, debentures, term loans, that is loan from bank or from any other parties, deferred payment liabilities, deposits, loans and advances, long term maturities of finance, lease obligation, other loans and advances. Other long term liabilities, that is trade payables, long term provisions, provisions for employee benefit, that is EPF or PPF, short term borrowings, that means current liabilities, that is loan repayable on demand from banks or from other parties, loans and advances from related parties, deposits or other loans and advances which have a specific nature like secured or unsecured loans. Other current liabilities, these are current maturities of long term debts, current maturities of finance, lease obligation, interest accrued but not due on borrowings, interest accrued and due on borrowings, income received in advance, unpaid dividend application, money received for allotment of securities due for refund in interest accrued thereon, unpaid mature deposits and interest accrued thereon, unpaid mature debenture and interest accrued thereon, and other payable. Short term provisions, provision for employee benefit, others, then tangible assets, land, building, plant, equipment, furniture, fixtures, vehicle, office equipment and others. These are under the heads of assets. Intangible assets, goodwill, trademark, computer software, publishing titles, mining right, copyright, again depend on the type of business, the recipes, formulas, model, design, prototypes, license, franchise and others, where sums have been written off on reducing the capital or revaluation of assets. That means any changes, amortization can also be taken into consideration. Non-current investments, that is the investments in the longer period. shall be classified as trade investment, and other investments carried at other than cost should be separately stated, specifying the basis of valuation thereof. Long-term loans and advances, that is capital advances, security deposit, loans and advances to related parties, other loans and advances, and can be secured or unsecured or can be doubtful, that is it can be contingent in nature. Allowance for bad and doubtful debts, loans and advances due by director for other offices in the company. Other non-current assets are long-term trade receivables, secured, unsecured, doubtful, allowance for bad and doubtful debts, and debts due to directors or officers. Current investments, that is short term in nature, the basis of valuation of individual investment, aggregate amount, that is quoted, market value, the comparison between market and the book value. Inventories, as you can see, raw materials, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, stores and spares, loose tools and any other. So this all come under the head of inventories. Goods in transit and mode of valuation can also be stated. Trade receivables, that is aggregate amount of the trade receivables outstanding for the period of exceeding 6 months from the date of they are due for payment, should be separately stated. Trade receivables shall be subclassified as secured, unsecured, doubtful, allowances for bad and doubtful debts, and debts due to directors or the other officers. Cash and cash equivalents, that means the things that are easily converted into cash. Balances with banks, checks, drafts on hand, cash on hand, and other specifically earmarked balances with the banks. Short term loans and advances, that means as it comes under the asset side, these loans and advances should be the receivables. Loans and advances related parties, others, secured, unsecured and doubtful. Other current assets, this is an all inclusive header which incorporate current assets that do not fit into any other asset category. Contingent liability, that may or may not occur. So it is again on the conditional basis on the sum whether it is to be included or not. Statement of profit and loss. Next we are going to learn is statement of profit and loss. Statement of profit and loss has all the revenues, all the incomes, and from the incomes we are going to deduct the expenses. First of all, as you can see the format, the revenue from operations, that is sales. In that we are going to add other incomes, that incomes from various dividends or any other investment, that is total revenue. So Roman number 1 and 2 adds up to Roman number 3, that is total revenue. Expenses, the expenses are direct cost, that is cost of materials, purchases of stock in trade, changes in inventories, goods, work in progress and stock in trade, employee benefit expenses, that is finance cost, depreciation and amortization expenses and other expenses. So from all the incomes, when we deduct the expenses, it gives us the revenue. Profit before exceptional and extraordinary items and tax. So that derives a profit. Now exceptional items, this may or may not happen every time, but as we are going through the format, we should know that which are the exceptional items, that is loss on sale of assets or increase in the value of liabilities, that can be deducted or added. After that, profit before extraordinary items and tax. Now extraordinary items that may occur not every year, though that is to be either favorable or unfavorable, accordingly it should be added or deducted. Profit before tax, then you are going to deduct the current tax and deferred tax. Now current tax is for the stipulated period of time, that is for that particular current year, and deferred tax is that any other tax liabilities remained. Profit or loss from the period of continuing operations, so that is also either added or subtracted depending on if it is a profit or loss. Tax expenses of discontinuing operations, any of the operation if it is not going to continue, so there won't be chance of deferred taxes, so that should be deducted, and profit or loss from that discontinuing operations. Then you will derive the profit for this period, and from this profit we are going to calculate the earning per equity share. That means we are going to divide the profit among the number of equity shares. Now basic and diluted is again per equity share is the number of equity shares should be divided by the profit or loss of the period. Basic and diluted is, basic is simply dividing with the number of equity share, and diluted, that is divided by the number of preference shares as well. Now we are going to see in detail that what all are the components of financial statement of profit and loss. So in respect of a company other than finance company, revenue from operation shall disclose separately in the notes reserve, that is sale of products, sale of service, other operating revenues, excise duty, interest and other financial services. So these are the incomes. Revenue under each of the above heads shall be disclosed separately by the way of notes to accounts and extent applicable. That means each and everything should be mentioned separately in the notes to account as the explanation of major heads. Finance cost are the cost for paying off interest, borrowing cost or any applicable net gain or loss. That means if there is increase in the market value of share or decrease in the market value of our equity share, that cost is also to be considered. Other income, that means interest income, dividend income, net gain or loss from the sale of investment, or any other non-operating income, that is expense of directly attributable to such income. A company shall disclose the additional information by the way of footnotes: employees' benefit expenses, that is salaries and wages, contribution to provident and other fund, expense on employee stock option scheme, an employee stock purchase plan. That means when a company is offering their shares to the employee, these are the two schemes that are to be taken into consideration. Depreciation and amortization expenses, as you know, depreciation is on fixed tangible asset and amortization is on fixed intangible asset. Any of the item, income or expenditure which exceeds 1% of the revenue from the operation, whether it is more or less than 1 lakh, whichever is higher is to be taken. Interest income, interest expense, dividend income, net gain or loss on the sale of investment, and adjustment to carrying amount of investment. Carrying amount of investment, that means if we have given any brokerage to purchase the investment, that is also to be taken into consideration. Net gain or loss on foreign currency transaction and translation, payment to the auditor for taxation, for company law, for management service. So these all consultancy, if a company pays, that is all to be disclosed in the financial statement. Consolidated financial statement, as if for now it is not there in your syllabus, so you just have to learn the cash flow statement. Now children, we are going to see the format of the financial statement as per your textbook that we have already discussed. These are the major heads. This is balance sheet, Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. You can see equity and liability. Under that, shareholders fund, share capital, reserves and surplus, money received against share warrant, share application money pending allotment. Current liability, under that long-term borrowing, deferred tax liability, other long-term liability, long-term provisions, current liability, short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liability and short-term provision. This total to the liability side. And under asset side, you can see non-current assets, that are fixed assets, tangible, intangible, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development, non-current investment, tax assets, that is net, that is if we have paid the taxes in advance, long-term loans and advances, See, this comes under assets, so that means these loans and advances we have already given, and it is receivable. Other non-current asset, then current assets, current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. Now, statement on profit and loss, revenue from operation, other income. From that, all the expenses are to be deducted, that is direct and indirect expenses. First of all, direct expenses, cost of material, purchases of stock in trade, change in inventories, work in progress, employees benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation and amortization, other expenses. Then you will get a profit before tax, and then you will deduct tax, and then you will get a profit or loss of the particular period. Now, in both the statements, you have seen a peculiarity that there is a comparison between the current year and the previous year that you are supposed to prepare in your sums also.